All right, so today we're going to jump into a book called Addiction, Inc. by Emily Dufton. And what it does is uncover this shocking, kind of forgotten history behind America's opioid crisis. The big argument here is that the system we have today, the system that's failing millions, it didn't have to be this way. And the whole investigation, it starts with a story that's incredibly personal.
Get this. That is the very first sentence of the book. I mean, no intro, no academic warm-up, just this raw, powerful statement that sets the tone for everything. Dana was the author's friend, and he died from an overdose when he was just 30. And that loss, that tragedy, set her on an 8-year journey to figure out why. And you know the author, she wasn't an addiction specialist or anything. She was just a friend, trying to make sense of this awful loss. And that personal quest led her to a huge, really complicated question.
And that right there is the central puzzle of the book. You've got this treatment that everyone from the World Health Organization to the U.S. Surgeon General calls the gold standard. And yet, it's surrounded by stigma, it's incredibly hard to get, and it can be really punitive. It's failing the exact people it's supposed to save. This treatment is called medication-assisted treatment, or MAT.
So what even is MAT? Well, basically, it's using specific medications, think methadone or buprenorphine, to help manage withdrawal symptoms and cravings. The idea is to give a person the stability they need to rebuild their life. But even though it's been proven to work, it is just steeped in controversy.
And believe me, the opposition is fierce. You've got the philosophical side, where a lot of people feel that using one opioid to treat an addiction to another isn't real sobriety. Then there's the practical side. These medications can be dangerous. But the system itself can also be incredibly punishing. We're talking about patients losing their jobs, their homes, even their kids for a small mistake. And the result of all this? It's staggering. 4 out of every 5 people who need this treatment just aren't getting it. Okay, so this is where we get to what is, for me, the most surprising discovery in the whole book. It's something that completely reframes a huge moment in American history that, frankly, most of us think we already know all about. You know, when I say war on drugs, what pops into your head? Probably arrests, right? Prisons, just say no. But this book makes the case that that's not how it began at all. The real story starts with a very famous declaration, but we've completely forgotten what it originally meant. This is the quote that kicked it all off, right? The moment that launched this massive, decades-long offensive. Everybody points to this as the start of America's purely punitive, lock-'em-up approach to drugs. But here's the twist. Believe it or not, Nixon's first move was actually a pivot away from just this simple law and order crackdown. He was dealing with rising crime and addicted soldiers coming home from Vietnam, so his team did something unexpected. They launched this massive public health initiative that was all about rehabilitation. He created a new federal office called SADAP, and its mission? Well, it was totally radical for the time. The goal was to build a national system of treatment clinics offering free access to every single therapy out there, and that included methadone. The whole point was to make treatment easy to find and available to anyone who wanted it.
And this timeline just lays out the incredible and honestly tragic story of that vision. In just 2 years, SODAP massively expanded treatment, and as a result, crime and heroin use just plummeted. It was a huge success. But then, over the next couple of decades, the federal government slowly backed away. The system was privatized, and what started as a public health mission morphed into a for-profit industry. So how did that happen? How did treatment turn into an industry? Well, first, we kind of need to understand the products that it sells. And there are 3 main medications used in MAT. Okay, so you've got 3 main players here. First up is methadone. It's the oldest one, super effective, but it's also highly regulated. You can only get it at special clinics. Then there's buprenorphine, which has a lower overdose risk and, huge difference, can be prescribed right from a doctor's office. And finally, you have naltrexone, which just blocks opioids completely, usually for patients who are under pressure to stop using altogether. 3 different drugs and 3 pretty separate systems for getting them. And this right here, this brings us to the core argument of the book. That shift away from Nixon's public health idea didn't just break the system into pieces, it turned addiction treatment into a massive business. $16 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That's the estimated revenue of the medication-assisted treatment industry in America every single year. To put that in perspective, the book points out that's about the same amount of money Americans spend on pet food. Think about that. A public health service has become a major commercial enterprise.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. We went from a federally funded mission all about rehab to this patchwork of private, for-profit clinics that a lot of patients say are exploitative. The goal just completely shifted from solving a public health crisis to simply generating revenue. In this quote, this is where the book actually gets its name. It just perfectly captures that feeling so many patients have, that they're not really people being cared for anymore, but just a commodity, a line item in a system that's built for profit.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? What are we supposed to do with this information? The book's core message isn't just a history lesson. It's really a call to remember what we've lost.
I think the most stunning idea in the book is this. America once had a blueprint for a public health response to addiction. It was ambitious, it was federally funded, and for a short time, it really worked. We didn't just abandon that plan. We basically erased it from our collective memory, and we replaced it with a for-profit system that has presided over the worst overdose crisis this country has ever seen.
Look, if this topic matters to you, if this story resonates, do us a huge favor and hit like on this explainer. And definitely subscribe to our Recovery Anonymous channel. Your support really does help us keep doing this work.
And that's really the final question the book leaves us with. It forces us to look back at a road we didn't take, and remembering that we once tried a different way, a public health approach, instead of a punitive for-profit one. That's not just some academic exercise. The hope is that by remembering, we can start to imagine, and maybe, just maybe, start to build a system that actually works. A system that might have saved Dana and could still save millions more.